Good morning, this is Dustin with Orlando Painters. We're here in Lake Butler Sound, restaining this huge long walkway and boat dock. As you can see, it goes and goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. I'm not going to walk all the way down there, but as you can see, it goes as far as you can see and then further. But we stained this boat dock about 3.5 years ago. It's a 1,000-foot walkway with all these pylons all the way down. I mean, just like a couple hundred pylons and all this decking. It's 1,000 feet long exactly. And this is in Lake Butler Sound in Windermere. But the story on this dock and walkway is, I think it was built 5, 6, 7 years ago or so, if that. And what happened is the dock building company came in here and built this dock, and they had somebody come follow up right behind them to stay in the dock right behind them to protect the wood, which is very smart. The thing that wasn't very smart is the contractor who stained this wood used an oil-based stain and sealer. It was a stain and sealer in one, and it was oil-based. So he caused a lot of problems without really even knowing it. He just probably wasn't very educated in how to stain docks. I mean, anybody can, oh yeah, slap a coat of stain on your dock. Well, unless you know what you're doing, if you don't know how to prep the wood correctly, then you're wasting your time. If you don't know the exact products to use, you're wasting your time. If you've never been educated in any kind of, wood chemistry, you're wasting your time. But, people don't always look into it like that. I think there's this couple reasons why the guy used the oil-based stain and sealer in one. For one, it's a heck of a lot easier to apply. There's not much you have to do as far as preparation of the wood. You can simply take a garden sprayer and pump up garden sprayer and just directly spray the oil-based stain on the wood and walk away from it. It penetrates deeply. It's pretty forgiving. You don't really see any brush marks, splatter marks, or anything like that. But the problem is, it contains oil-based stains and sealers. As you've already heard in some of my previous videos, it's made with seed oils, which contains, the entire product is made with seed oils, so that's actual food for mildew. That's what mildew eats. So you'll notice anywhere you see oil-based paint, any oil-based sealer, oil-based stains outside, you'll always see mildew growth on them. So, and another problem with it is that a stain and sealer, an oil-based stain and sealer, dries way too hard for the intense sunlight of Florida. It's great for up north. Up north, heck, they swear by oil-based stains and sealers and paints. But down here in Florida, you can't use the same thing that you use up there, you can't use down here. It just dries way too hard. It gets really brittle and flaky fast. And then when you go to recoat, you'll always see like a cloudy film over the top of it. And it clogs all the pores up, and it's just not the right product to use in Florida. It's great for up north. If I had a boat dock to do up in Maryland, I would probably use an oil-based stain. Maybe I don't know, if I had if I had raw lumber, like basically a brand new blank canvas, I would go with water-based all day long. But if you're up north, you can certainly get away with using an oil-based stain and sealer if you live up north. Down here in Florida, totally different animal. But people always that really don't know a lot about staining, I mean, even contractors, most contractors don't know anything about staining. Oh yeah, we stain wood, oh yeah, we do this, we do that. They'll tell you whatever to get a check out of you, you know? But are they actually educated in how to do it? No. Everybody thinks staining is paint, and it's the same exact thing. It's not the same exact thing. So, I mean, that's the problem. You know, people they're not educated in it, and that's fine. But when you get a blank canvas, you know, always use a water-based product on if you're staining wood. So, but at any rate, this here. So what happened with this in this situation is 3.5 years ago there was an oil-based stain present, and for one thing, the use of oil-based stains and sealers on our Florida waterways is against the law anyway. It's not against the law to stain your dock with it. It's against the law for you to get it into the water at all. So if you're going to stain a boat dock at all, you better have all that water around that dock protected with plastic. Because if one drop gets in the water, it'll actually look like an oil spill in this lake. And if there's the police or you know, Coast Guard or something, whatever, out here in this lake, patrolling this lake, well, this is the Butler chain of lakes out here. This is one of the most desirable chain of you know, bodies of water in the state of Florida. This is patrolled really, really well. So if you get a drop of stain on this, oil-based stain on this water, honestly, it will look like an oil spill within a couple of hours. I mean, it'll be a big, huge ring in the water, and they'll find you, and you'll be out of business. So I understand it's a lot easier to stain with the oil-based products because you can just spray it on, whatever, and walk away. But something, as everyone knows, something being easy is generally not the right way. Using a water-based stain and sealer, it takes a lot more work. You got to prep the wood, which is great. You're supposed to prep the wood before you stain or seal it anyway. You're trying to open up the pores of this wood to their widest points, so it'll accept as much stain as possible. And the more stain you can get into this wood, the better durability you're going to have, and the color retention, it's going to hold up a lot longer. And that's going to protect the wood and keep it moist longer and not dry out so fast. But the problem is when you use an oil-based stain, it clogs up these pores. So it's really, really, really hard to open up the pores of this wood. In any substrate, I mean, especially any substrate that you're going to walk on, concrete, wood, whatever, you have to have open pores in order for your product to adhere to the surface. Open pores. You have to have open pores. The product that you're using, the stain or epoxy, you know, if you're using epoxy for a concrete floor, it has to bite into the concrete. It has to get into the pores. That's what keeps it down. That's what keeps it adhered to the substrate. So when you use an oil-based stain or sealer, you clog the pores up. You clog them up. And a water-based product just lays on top, and it can't penetrate into the pores. So in that case, you have to open up these pores. Well, to open up the pores absolutely the right way, you'd have to use a super, super harsh stain stripper. Again, another product that's not eco-friendly. That all this vegetation around, all the way around both sides of the walkway here, if you put the stain stripper down, anything that gets on this green here is going to die. I mean, you can rinse it all down first, get it all wet first. Use your deck stripper. That's going to help. But you can't get that deck stripper in the water. So if you get the deck stripper in the water, it's not worth rolling the dice. I mean, you can kill, besides just killing vegetation and plant life around here, you're also going to kill fish, turtles, whatever's around here, alligators, whatever's around here. You're probably going to kill them. So it's not something that Orlando Painters is going to do. So I have a few tricks. I certainly can't discuss it, on video here and audio of how to open up pores of wood that have been stained or sealed with an oil-based stainer and sealer. But as you can see, this wood now, and it goes all the way down. I pretty much got all this stain, oil-based stain, off this decking. And this has a coat of oil-based stain and sealer. And then when we did it 3.5 years ago, we used a water-based stain and sealer. And now we're gonna restain it again with another water-based stain and sealer. But as you can look at this decking, and there's tons and tons of it, you can see with my little tricks, I pretty much got all this stain, all this old existing oil-based stain off, and my last coat of stain. So it's tricky, but it's legal and it's eco-friendly, and I got most of it up. There's still a lot of boards that I couldn't get completely, couldn't get the oil out, but it's like this piece of wood right here. You can see some of it came off, but then right in here, it's not coming off. So, you know, 90%, 80% of this board has been taken care of. So we'll restain this. It'll blend right in. It'll look perfect. So, you know, generally if I can get a raw piece of wood, you know, like I said, basically a blank canvas, I like to use that term. Most guys that come stain your dock, you're going to be restaining your dock, no question, within a year, year and a half at the very, very, very most. When this guy originally did this dock and stained this dock, it lasted 4 months, his stain job with that oil-based stain and sealer. It lasted 4 months. After 11 months, the homeowner called me to restain this dock, and it looked absolutely terrible. It looks worse than it does right now. You know, no stain on it basically. He had a walkway that was just right down the center, was just completely wore off, and I had asked him how long is this dock made? This didn't happen yesterday, so how long has it been looking like this? He goes, this contractor stained my dock 11 years ago, and I would say it started looking absolutely terrible 4 months after he was finished. I mean, if that's not ridiculous, wow, I don't know what it is. So, and even with the previously existing, you know, oil-based stain and sealer present on this wood, I got this dock to look great for a little over 3 years. This is 3.5 years since we've stained it. So I asked him, you know, how long it's been looking bad for, and he said about 5 or 6 months it's been looking bad. For the first 3 years it looked really, 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 really good, and then over the last 5 or 6 months it's just gotten worse. But I mean, generally, most guys are getting a year to a year and a half on new wood. I'm getting 3 years on wood that's been stained with an oil-based stain and sealer first. Then I came in behind and did it with my process, and I got 3 years out of it. So if I got a blank canvas, raw wood, I can probably get 5 years before you have to restain your dock. It's just, if you know how to do it and you've been educated in it, you can do it. But I can get about 5 years versus a year and a half from another company, you know, from your other local guys here in town or anywhere. So this here, we got a lot of it off this time, a lot of this oil. So we got 3 years this time. I think maybe he'll get 3.5 or 4 this time. But again, if I had a brand new blank canvas, I'd get 5 years out of it, which is almost unheard of. But if you prep this wood right before you start applying the stain and sealer, you can make it last a long time. So I'm going to walk down here and show you a little bit. We just got it all clean and started staining and sealing yesterday. So you can see there's all these pillars, these pylons here, all these headers have all been done. And then here's the difference.
Ready?
Night and day. So we're applying this with, you know, your basic backpack garden sprayer, but what we're doing is we're back brushing through all of our every board's going to get back brushed. And that's going to make it nice and uniform. That's going to help it penetrate the wood. Here's another area we did yesterday. So big difference. This here this part right here, obviously there's a roof above, so it doesn't really get the wear and tear from the sun. And this is the oil-based stain and sealer that I was referring to that's not coming out very well. But again, it's not getting the exposure from the sun, so our product will lay on top of it. We got some of that oil-based stain and sealer out of there, but it'll pretty much, this area, it's going to lay on top of it more, but it doesn't get any wear and tear from the sun. So this will be fine. This is the only real bad area, is right underneath this roof. But as you can see, the major difference right here. So it's really getting into the pores more this time than last time. You can get this oil base, so you can see where the oil base is starting finally to disappear. You can see the difference right there. That was yesterday. Left hand side was yesterday, and this is the old stuff. So trick is getting these pores open in the wood, and they're open pretty good now. This stain is really penetrating, so it's going to be real nice and durable. So I'm very pleased with that. So Jeff, you can come down here. So again, this is Dustin with Orlando Painters. Just wanted to discuss this dock staining project and explain a few things and educate you a little bit on some of the stuff. Sorry I can't disclose every single thing, but I'm sure competitors like to listen. If they're out there doing their homework and trying to learn their trade better, they're trying to pick up on stuff and learn helpful hints and stuff. So there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't want to disclose too much information about how I do my staining. But as you can see, we got a lot of this stain off. A lot. So the more we could get off, the better our stain job's going to last. Oh, actually, I couldn't be happier. We replaced some boards here. Some boards we got to screw back down. They're buckling up here in the corners a little bit, but right down here, no big deal. A few screws here and there. Some new boards will have to get stained. We'll make them blend right in like they are. They'll blend right back in with the existing boards so they don't stand out. But it goes and goes and goes for a little while here. So as you can see, there's some more buckled boards. We'll repair all that.